Hello students, welcome back to my second session on chemical kinetics. I hope all of you have seen my earlier session. If you haven't, you can find the link in the description box given below this video. Please have a look at it so that you understand the basics and then we can proceed with the second session. So in today's session, I'll be explaining to you all about the rate law. So what do you mean by the rate law? The rate law is yet another way of expressing the rate of a reaction. This rate law gives the relation between the rate of a reaction and the concentration of the reactants, in which the concentration of the reactants are raised to some powers x and y. So let us understand the rate law with the help of this general equation. So if I have a molecule equation which is written as AA plus BB forming CC plus DD, then the rate law says that the rate of this particular reaction is proportional to the concentration of A raised to X into the concentration of B raised to Y. So you can see here the rate is proportional to the concentration of the reactants. Okay, and here there are two reactants A and B. So these concentration of reactants are raised to some powers X and Y. Now what is the value of this X and Y? We cannot understand from this balanced chemical equation. These X and Y are experimentally determined quantities. So in order to remove the proportionality sign, we introduce a constant, that is K, and this K is called as the rate constant for a particular reaction at a fixed temperature. All right. So what exactly is this rate law? This rate law says that X and Y are experimentally determined quantities. Okay. Now, if the value of X and the value of Y is 1, what does that indicate? That indicates that the rate is equal to K into concentration of A raised to 1 into concentration of B raised to 1. That means in this case, the rate of the reaction depends on the concentration of reactant A as well as it depends on the concentration of reactant B. So if we were to plot a graph, we would get a linear graph. Okay, the rate would vary linearly as the concentration of A and B. That means as the concentration of A increases or as the concentration of B increases, the rate of reaction also will increase and vice versa. Okay. Now what happens if X is 2 and Y is 1? What does that indicate? This indicates that the rate is dependent on concentration of A raised to 2 while concentration of B is raised to 1. Okay. That means if at all I change the concentration of A, I make the concentration of A to be double the original concentration. All right. That means let us say initially I took 2 moles of A and now I'm taking 4 moles of A. So what happens here? The concentration of A has doubled. So instead of A, I can write it as 2A, double A, that means 2A. So now it becomes 2A raised to 2 because my value of X is also 2. So I get 2A raised to 2. And 2A raised to 2 is nothing but 4A square, right? So I get rate is equal to K into 4A square into B raised to 1 because Y is 1. So what does this term for K into 4A square into B indicate? That means compared to the original rate was only X equal to 2 and Y equal to 1 with the same concentration A and B. That means I get rate is equal to K into A square into B raised to 1. Only if I increase the concentration of A or if I double the concentration of A, then I get rate is equal to 4K A square into B. That means now the rate has become 4 times the original concentration. All right. So this powers X and Y tells us the extent to which the rate of a reaction depends on the concentration of the reactants. It may be that it depends on concentration of both the reactants, or sometimes it depends on the concentration of only one reactant. For example, now if I have X is equal to 0, okay, now this term X becomes 0. So if X is 0, that means A is raised to 0. And what is A raised to 0 according to indices? We know that anything raised to 0 is 1. So I get rate is equal to K into 1 into B raised to whatever value Y. Okay. That means in this rate law, I have rate is equal to K into B raised to Y because X is 0. So I get rate is equal to K into B raised to Y. That means this expression tells us that the rate is independent of the concentration of A. It does not depend upon the concentration of A. It depends only on the concentration of B. All right. Sometimes we can also have X or Y less than 0. Now suppose the values of this x and y is less than 0. That means it is going to be a negative number. So what does this negative power of x, or value of x and y indicate? That means a is raised to a negative value, or b can be raised to a negative value. So if it is raised to a negative value, obviously when the concentration will increase, the rate is going to decrease. So that is what I've mentioned here. If x is less than 0, it could also be y. Then the rate will decrease with increase in concentration of A or concentration of B. All right. So that was about the rate of the reaction in terms of rate law. Now coming to order of a reaction. So when we take a general equation of the form AA plus BB forming CC plus DD, we have the rate is given as K into A raised to X, concentration of A raised to X into concentration of B raised to Y. So this expression is known as the rate law. All right. Now, over here, I told you that these X and Y are experimentally determined quantities. Okay, so starting with different initial quantities of A and B, we can find out the rate at which the extent to which the rate of the reaction depends on the concentration of either of the reactants or on concentration of both the reactants. So once you know this value of X and Y, we can find out the sum of the exponents to which the concentrations are raised in the rate law. And this sum of the exponents, that is x plus y, okay, to which the concentrations are raised. What is x and y? They are the exponents to which the concentrations are raised in the rate law. So the sum of the exponents to which the concentrations are raised in the rate law gives us what is known as the order of the reaction. So order of the reaction can be mathematically written as x plus y. Okay. So let us understand this order of the reaction in detail. Here I have an example of formation of hydrogen iodide. So I have here a balanced equation, hydrogen plus iodine forming 2 moles of Hi. Now the rate equation has to be given experimentally, it has to be determined. So experimentally it has been found that the rate of this particular reaction is equal to K into concentration of H2 into concentration of I2. Okay, so this is the rate law. The powers of H2 and I2 are not mentioned here. This indicates that H2 is raised to 1 and I2 is also raised to 1. Okay, so this is this one, how we get this one, that is experimentally determined. So what could be the order of this particular reaction? Very simple. The order is x plus y. Now what is x and what is y? X and y are the exponents to which the concentration terms are raised in the rate law. Now there are 2 reactants here. So one of the reactants power we can take as x. That means let us say x is concentration of H2 raised to 1. So x is 1. Similarly, y will be the concentration of Y2 raised to y. So y is also equal to 1. So what is the order of this particular reaction? It is 1 plus 1 or it is equal to 2. Okay. Similarly, let us take another example here. This is decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. So I have here 2 moles of hydrogen peroxide decomposing to form oxygen and water. Okay. Now the rate of this particular equation according to the rate law is K into concentration of H2O2. So here the power to which H2O2 is raised is not written. That means it is indicating it is 1. So there is only one term here, only one reactant. So let us say this is the value of x. X is 1. There is no y here, not involved. No second reactant is not there. So what will be the order of this reaction? It will be simply 1. Followed? Okay. So let us define this order of the reaction now. Now order of the reaction is an experimentally determined quantity. Okay. It can be a fraction or a whole number. Now I gave you 2 examples where order of the reactions were whole numbers. But remember, it can also be a fraction. You can have concentration term raised to 1 by 2 or concentration term raised to 3 by 2. Okay, so it could be any fraction as well. Or the concentration term may be raised to 0 as well. So if the concentration terms are raised to 0, that means the reaction is independent. The rate of the reaction is independent of the concentration of the reactant. Then the order of the reaction becomes equal to 0. All right. So these are some important properties of the order of a reaction. Okay. Now let us take a simple example to understand the order of the reaction more better. Look at this question. For the reaction, chloroform, CHCl3, that is chloroform, plus chlorine forming CCl4, that is carbon tetrachloride plus HCl. Okay, for this reaction, it is said that the reaction is of first order in CHCl3. Means it is of first order in chloroform. What do you mean by it is of first order in chloroform? That means the order of the reaction, rate of the reaction is dependent on the concentration of chloroform raised to 1. The order to which the rate depends on chloroform is 1. Okay. And similarly, the next part it says it is second order in Cl2. That means the extent to which the rate depends on the concentration of the reactant chlorine is of the second order. That means your concentration term of chlorine should be raised to 2. Okay. So very simple and easy to understand. So now write the expression for its rate law. So how will you write the rate law? The rate law is written as rate is equal to reaction constant K multiplied by the concentration of the reactants raised to the order to which it is dependent, right? So you have seen here it is in first order in chloroform. So chloroform term will be raised to 1. So I haven't written the 1 here. And the second order in chlorine. So the chlorine concentration will be raised to 2. So this is the expression for the rate law of this particular reaction. Okay. Now also find the overall order of the reaction. So this is with respect to chloroform, it was of first order. With respect to chlorine, it is of second order. Now, what is the overall order of the reaction? So total order of the reaction, what is it? So the total order of the reaction we will get by taking x plus y. That means x is here 1 and y is 2. So I get 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. That means the order of this particular reaction is 3. So you can have reactions of first order, you can have reactions of second order, that means order equal to 1 or order equal to 2, or third order where total overall order of the reaction is 3, or sometimes the order of the reaction is 0. That means you have a 0 order reaction as well. Okay. But for your syllabus, you have to mainly focus on 0 and first order reactions. All right. Now let us move on to another concept that is known as molecularity of a reaction. Now what do you understand by this term molecularity of a reaction? It's very simple. It's evident from the word itself. Now what is molecularity? It is nothing but the number of reactant molecules that participate in a reaction. Okay. So you have to only consider the number of reactant molecules. Now how do you know the number of reactant molecules? This you obtain from the well-balanced chemical equation. So take an example here. I've taken ethyl iodide C2H5I getting converted into C2H4 and HI. Okay. So in this case, the equation is already balanced. I don't need to balance it further. So how many moles of reactant are participating here? There is no coefficient, means it is 1. So I can say that the number of molecules in the reaction mixture is only 1. Okay. That means this is a unimolecular reaction. So on the basis of the molecularity, that is depending on the number of reactant molecules in a reaction, you can call this reaction as a unimolecular reaction. Similarly, the second equation which we have decomposition of water, you can see 2 moles of water are getting converted into oxygen and 2 moles of hydrogen peroxide are getting decomposed into oxygen and 2 moles of water. Okay, so I have balanced here by putting 2 moles of hydrogen peroxide and 2 water on the right hand side. So what is the number of reactant molecules in this particular reaction? The number of reactant molecules are 2. I have 2 moles of hydrogen peroxide, right? So number of reactant molecules are 2. So because the molecularity of the reaction is 2, this reaction will be called as a bimolecular reaction. You can have reactions of higher molecularity also, but then we are not going to deal with such complex reactions where you have more number of molecules. You have to limit yourself to unimolecular and bimolecular reactions. Because more the number of, when the molecularity increases, the reactions become more complex. All right. So we will limit ourselves to unimolecular and bimolecular reactions. So I hope you've understood what is molecularity of a reaction. Now let us understand the difference between order and molecularity of a reaction. So how did we write down the order? Okay, order was experimentally derived quantity. So we had to do x plus y, right? So those x and y are experimentally determined quantities. So order is also an experimental quantity. Whereas molecularity is something which you can just write down by observing the balanced chemical equation, right? You have to just observe the balanced chemical equation and sum up the total number of reactant molecules on the left-hand side of the balanced equation. So you get the molecularity. That means molecularity is a theoretical entity while order is an experimentally derived quantity. Okay. Then second, order is defined as the sum of the exponential terms in the rate law. Okay, so when you write down the rate law, whatever exponential terms are there to which the concentration are raised, that is known as the sum of those exponential terms is known as the order. So we have defined the order over here. And what is molecularity? We will define molecularity here. Molecularity is the number of reactant molecules that are taking part in that particular reaction. Okay. Now, as I told you earlier, the order can be zero. You can have zero order reactions. You can have order in fractions. You can also have order in integers. That means you can have +1, +2, +3. You can have -1, -2, -3 as well. But molecularity, can it ever be zero? We all know that when we balance a chemical equation, we never write fractions. We never write zero. Okay. If you write zero, that means zero molecules are participating in the reaction, indicates the reaction is not taking place at all. So molecularity is never zero. It can never be in fractions. Molecularity is always in terms of whole numbers. It is never negative also. Okay. So you understood, children, molecularity can never be zero or fractions. It is always a whole number. Okay. So this brings us to an end of our today's session. Thanks for watching. In my next upcoming session, I shall be taking up the integrated rate law, where we'll be studying the integrated rate law for a first order reaction as well as for zero order reactions. Okay. So till then, keep watching. Don't forget to share my videos with your friends. Ask them to subscribe and also hit the bell button so that they are notified as soon as I upload my further videos. Thank you.